This thing's bloody massive. You could kill a man with this. Right, so yeah, Prison School Volume 1. It was only a matter of time before it came out. Please don't judge me. Right, so the basic premise of this is it's set in a school called Hachimitsu Academy, which used to be an all-girls school up until very recently when they started allowing male students. These 5 guys get enrolled into the school, and there's like those 5 and over 1,000 women. Sounds like heaven, right? Not so much. Boys being boys, they start peeping on the girls in the bath and end up in prison because it's illegal. Don't do it, kids. I know they do it all the time in manga, but this is real life. There's this other student council that's been set up called the Shadow Student Council, which has been around for donkey's years, and they lock these guys in the prison school, which I think is just known as the prison, where they're just completely emasculated and dominated and just basically have horrible and slightly kinky shit done to them. From what you may have seen online, probably comes across as a bit sordid, but I actually really enjoyed it. I'm not one for like masses and masses of perviness. I like a bit of boob every now and again, don't get me wrong, but sometimes things can take it to another level. This is certainly one of those, but I don't know, it's clever enough that I can look past it. Just imagine Prison Break, but instead of guards you have dominatrices. Is dominatrices a real word? Don't know, I've never encountered more than one. But yeah, if you like intricate, well thought out storylines with a lot of kinkiness, this is definitely the manga for you. I had a lot of laughs. It was really funny. Between mistaken identities, people thinking that other people are gay, the like principal of the academy being just as perverted as the main 5 guys, if not more so. There was just a lot of good stuff, and I'm glad that the first volume is as big as this, because had it have been like normal manga size, which I'd probably say is about half, it just wouldn't have been as good. Again, like My Hero Academia, it's a bit of a slow burn to start off with, but the advantage of this is the ball starts rolling a lot faster as you get towards the end, and it leaves the first volume on a cliffhanger that just is making me die. I want the next one! Okay, so the story revolves around Kiyoshi. He's our protagonist, right? And he's slightly less thirsty than the other 4 guys. Still pretty thirsty though. So none of the girls will talk to the lads. It's one of the rules that have been set in place by the Shadow Student Council. But the main character, Kiyoshi, meets this girl called Chiyo over a mutual love of sumo wrestling. Although Kiyoshi doesn't really love sumo wrestling, but whatever, it's gonna get him laid. And they agree to go on a date. Unfortunately, Kiyoshi lands himself in the slammer, the prison school, so he has to find a way to escape to be able to get to this date. And all sorts of alliances and plans are formulated, these harebrained schemes, and just all these different ways in which they try and formulate this big plan to try and escape, and all the stuff that could potentially get in the way of that. Considering that the focus is just, you know, boobs and like, kinky stuff, like I mentioned before, the storyline is actually really intricate and clever in places, and actually had me on my toes for quite a lot of it. There's even a bit where a girl gets pissed on. If you're into that shit, then buy Prison School. Ta-da! I'm going to rattle through quite a few of the characters now, because everyone's kind of established quite early on, and it seems like this manga series focuses on quite a small cast, which is nice for a change. You've got Kiyoshi, who's the main character that I mentioned before. You've got Takahito, who's also known as Gact, who's like this guy with glasses. He speaks in like oldie English in the translation. He's quite funny. He's obsessed with the romance of the 3 kingdoms, and he ends up becoming Kiyoshi's ally in his plan to escape, because he wants these limited edition 3 kingdoms figures that you can only get at this event, that unfortunately he's trapped in the prison as well, so they start working together. Those 2 are kind of like the main pairing. Pairing is right. And I assume the other 3 guys will get more developed as time goes on. You've got Shingo, who knew Kiyoshi when he was in middle school. Haven't really seen much of him yet. Then you've got Joe, who's this guy in a hoodie, looks like a proper, like, rebel type. He's got mouth ulcers, apparently, which make him cough up blood all the time. So generally his dialogue consists of, I want to have lots of sex. And then you've got Andre, who's just creepy. He's got like a big head, a tiny face, and like that isn't creepy. That's an interesting character design. Just the things that he says is a bit weird. Then you got Chio, who's like the main love interest, if you could call it that. You don't really see much of her in this volume. She's just kind of there to give Kyoshi a reason to escape. And then you've got the Underground Student Council, whose sole job it is to punish these bastards. You've got Mari, who's the president. We haven't really seen much of her. She's just a bit of a knob, really. Hates men. She can control crows. Then you got Mako, who is this person. The person that you've probably seen even if you don't know anything about prison school. She, yeah, that's all you really need to know about her. She likes to punish the boys. She also has this strange habit of popping squats whenever possible. I assume just for sheer titillation. Then you've got Hannah, who's the secretary, and she's the one who's kind of like, oh, I'm really nice, honestly, except I know karate and I will kill you with my feet. She's the one that got weed on. So yeah, I started reading this having no idea what I was going to get into. I actually thought that I wasn't going to like it, to be honest. From what I knew of prison school, I thought that the kind of the sexualized factor of it was going to be a bit too much for me, despite my being a hot-blooded male. But the story saved it. It's absolutely fantastic, and I highly recommend it if you can stomach that sort of stuff. So yeah, Prison Break. With tits and ass.